So we really are doing this, huh?
This shit is crazy.
Yeah, we are. And yes, it is. Let's go ahead with this briefing.
Okay, listen up. As you know, this country has had its democratic government deposed by a military coup. As UN MOSAF was already transiting back from our Polynesian deployment, we were in the perfect position to respond to this situation.
Right place, right time. Awfully convenient.
Our resources don't allow us to interdict this situation intensively, but we have enough to carry out specific strikes. We have a limited stockpile of cruise missiles and F-35B fighters from the LHD-9. However, there is an issue.
What is it?
The Bosnia problem.
The what?
Because the enemy can still have air defenses. And those will pose a risk to aircraft no matter what.
On top of that, with no ground force attack, the enemy never concentrates his anti-air units. He never has something to defend from air attack, so they can be dispersed and hidden.
Exactly. 2 weeks ago, the LHD-9 Okinawa and the rest of the UN MOSAF fleet moved and is sitting here off the coast. We have the civilian population still in an uproar from the coup and crying out to the UN for peacekeepers and assistance. In addition, we have taken every action to make it look as if we are about to mass an amphibious assault nearby. In truth, we don't have the manpower or resources to truly engage in that kind of serious operation. The bulk of our forces is still in Syria. However, this feint is forcing the coup forces to mass their air defenses towards the coast, which was our goal. A special forces detachment was also deployed 2 weeks ago. It was to probe along the coast, scout, and look for what we needed. The air defense in this area is ideal. It is close enough to be useful to our goal, far enough away not to be obvious. Dense enough that we can wipe them out with our resources available. Amber March, you are to penetrate into enemy territory alongside the special forces. Reach your 3 separate objective points and destroy the enemy anti-air systems from there.
Hold on, this is fucking crazy.
Walking into the jungle with our mechs, with spooks, on a suicide mission.
I know. This may very well be the most difficult mission you ever perform, but it is vital. As soon as the air defenses concentrated here are down, our F-35Bs will swing in through the hole you made and launch attacks crippling the enemy's core political and military command structure, throwing their defenses into chaos. That strike will coincide with the brunt of our cruise missile stockpiles also hitting and saturating any remaining targets.
Which is why we can't afford to use any jets or cruise missiles on the air defenses here. Great. Because we don't have full catapults, just VTOLs off the Okinawa, our F-35Bs are payload limited. And helos, even if we didn't leave our helos back in Syria, won't work because they'd be vulnerable to being picked out by the enemy air defenses.
Okay, but what about the special forces? Couldn't they destroy the air defense radars at the very least? Shoot them with 50 cals? It's less risky than us trying to go in.
Unfortunately, even if we had 3 times the manpower, it would still be a tall order. Myanmar is in the middle of a massive record heat wave. Even with the monsoon season starting up, the average temperature is around 40 degrees centigrade, pushing between 43 and 45 with humidity.
No wonder the Okinawa has been a total fucking sweatbox lately.
So expecting our special forces to wade across 10 kilometers of mountainous jungle to all the targets means they die of heat stroke.
This also goes for the enemy coup forces as well. This environment is taxing even for dedicated jungle troops.
Fuck, man. Giant targets go into the most absolute hostile landscape possible. Oh, but at least we have a fucking AC.
That's the long and short of it, gentlemen. I'm not gonna lie, we could use our air strategy without this mission. But if we pull this off, our odds of success go up much higher. The decoys, harms, and payload used here could then be shifted to the military and command targets instead. There is also some redundancy. We have calculated only one of you needs to make it to their objective point for this to work. We can afford to lose a HIMAX or 2. Though obviously not ideal, this is simply the best we can manage with the resources on hand.
So a mission in terrain that hates all vehicles that try to pass through it. A mission too tough for even special infantry forces alone, but too specific for us to use our trump cards of jets and cruise missiles.
And if this goes tits up, what about us?
Then what? The special forces can get us out, right? Right?
It better.
Special forces should be able to extract you via the river.
Then it's the Nighthawk shootdown, or worse, the 99 incident.
We're approaching 0 hour for mission start in 90 minutes. This op is a gamble. It's gonna be hard. Should all this succeed, we will attain air superiority over the coup forces, kill or knock out much of their leadership, and have room to domino this situation strategically. Even with our small available resource pool, who knows? With enough local support and the UN backing, we could save the entire democratic system and its people here.
I don't know. Thinking it over, the whole thing sounds like a challenge. The collision of industrialization and war birthed new forms of machines in the early 20th century. These machines exist at points of overlap between role, engineering, tactics, and terrain. For ground combat, where armor, artillery, and tractor treads met, the tank was forged. It sits at the apex of tactical mobility. Tactical mobility is the ability to move not based on terrain alone, but based on the ability to both fight offensively with that artillery and defend with that armor. Similarly, the armored fighting vehicle and APC were born later. For the APC, it takes its root in the protection and deployment of infantry in a world of artillery. For the IFV, the infantry fighting vehicle, it lay in continuing to fight in conjunction with troops once deployed. But these vehicles, born of available engineering and pragmatic tactics and strategy, did have limitations. Not in tactical mobility alone per se, but in the mobility of terrain. Many of the most common human locales they could fight in, and do so well, in difficult terrain. Air mobile infantry took up the other side of that gap. Helicopter gunships and helicopter mobilized infantry. But in that realm there was still something missing. In the 50s and 60s, questions still arose. What about that remaining terrain? What about those other places to move or fight? DARPA would begin multiple programs looking into exactly that. Because in truth, something around 50 to 60% of all land terrain still remains largely impassable to conventional vehicles. Even tanks with their power and utility simply had hard limits to their applied form and function. They specified for tactical superiority, but in doing so, naturally sacrificed something of a kind of mobility. Steep slopes, forests, cities, hills, and mountains, and so on. Could something exist to take advantage of that gap? Was it possible? Animals and biology could pass there, even massive ones. These attempts began the process that would inevitably lead to the armored walking gun system. But something was missing. The treacherous terrain was too complex for any dumb vehicle. It was the advancements in computerization. With these improvements, the features came together in the late 80s and early 90s, piece by piece. Virtual control in cockpits, in-hub motors for conjunction wheel-leg hybrids, biomechanical actuators and auto-balancers, AI algorithms for movement. What this vehicle was never going to be was a tank. Head-on, tanks would always retain their dominance by nature of their specific design. What this was something else, something different. Beyond the tank's specific limitations, but before the helicopter's separation from the Earth. With the worsening and changing climate conditions, the increase in urban environments, the utility of this machine could exist. A truly all-terrain combat vehicle. And as drones and guided anti-tank missiles put pressure on all existing vehicles, the combat ecosystem continued to shift. When humanity first witnessed the Bronze Age chariot, was it possible for them to imagine the mighty Middle Age destrier? When the first lumbering tanks emerged, was it possible for humanity to imagine the modern MBT? The evolution between role, engineering, war, terrain, and the humans who experience these factors continues. Conservative minds will dismiss these new steel predators. But it was conservative minds who likewise dismissed their ancestral machines when they radiated out into the battlefield of life in the explosion of the world wars 100 years ago. Ultimately, victory is the best natural selector.
Percussion actual to Hannibal. Commencing operation. Sensors show no mines in the river. What about the civvies? They asked for us, and they got us. Like the weather. Now it's on our side. It's best to make good use of it.
ထိန်းချုပ်မှုပိုင်းတွင်အခက်အခဲဖြစ်နေရာတိုက်ပွဲအတွက်အဆင်မပြေဖြစ်နေခြင်းနဲ့ Twin Drive System ရဲ့ power မတည်ငြိမ်မှုကိုထိန်းချုပ်ဖို့အတွက်နောက်ပိုင်းတွင် GNR 1000 rate.
That's the junction up ahead.
Yep. Okay, enough with the chit-chat. Percussion 1 to Percussion 2. Percussion 3. Good hunting. Over.
Percussion 3 to Hannibal, passing S point. Setting route M. Over.
Percussion 2 to Hannibal, passing S point. Setting route W. Over.
Percussion 1 to Hannibal, passing S point. Setting route G. Over.
Hannibal to percussion. Acknowledged. Over.
There's our war elephant. Stalker 1 actual to Hannibal. Percussion 1 in sight. Setting route to Gulf 1. Commencing operation.
4 clicks and 90 mics. Let's go.
Hannibal to Stalker 1 actual. Received. Route G1. Operation start. Over.
Percussion 1. We spent the last 2 weeks scouting and mapping out those minefields. We stick to the route. You cover us, we cover you. We get through this. Worst comes to. Slingshot does their best at popping the radars, and we all get out. Over.
Stalker 1-1. Understood. Lead the way. You see, jungles hate every machine. We were hedging our bets on me, on my machine, on Amber March. But honestly, 1 hour of jungle conditions can be as bad as 3 to 5 hours of temperate operations. This place is hostile. That is it. Case in point.
Remember, ROE, engage upon spotting. We executed a controlled demolition on the bridge last night. But that will only stall the targets for so long. They will either have a bridge layer or be out of mission range in 300 mics. We need to be fast and merciless. We are moving to the road. Royal to mid, Rider to 2. Stalker to Percussion 1. Take the river.
Wilco. Did the water fuck with some systems? Could you get caught on debris? Sure. But did it give you better cover and keep your machine cool? Fuck yes. The paranoia was insane. The mist and fog made visibility basically stop at 70 meters without thermals. Even with my machine's thermals and the squad's ENVGs, the humidity and fog was doing us no favors hampering infrared. I was jumpy as hell. I'd swap over every 10 meters just to try and parse something, anything out of that soup. Even as a 9-meter bipedal sensor mast, it was like we were just stumbling into them as they were stumbling into us.
Stalker 1-1 to Hannibal. Passing Gulf 3. Okay, bounding at this crossing. Blackjack, Royal, then Ryder last.
Hannibal to Stalker 1, received.
Scan 9 o'clock. Contact possible sentry.
Fuck, Stalker, I have eyes on 2 contacts, 11 o'clock.
Can you engage?
Fucking MG is not responding. The heat and the humidity is fucking the gun. I'll designate with laser, switch to thermals.
We see it. Engaging.
Fucking MG. Stalker 1, I'm using rockets.
Targets down.
Fucking MG. Fuck.
Advanced Percussion 1. Scan. Stalker 1. Up the road. Now.
Stalker 1, contacts 50 meters, 12 o'clock up the road.
Engaging.
Yep.
Finish them off.
Yeah, I saw them do it. I saw it happen. Did I like it? Fuck no. Did I have time to care or make moral qualms then and there? No. We couldn't drag prisoners through the jungle with us. We couldn't just leave them there to inform the enemy of our position or route. Those things happen with spooks like them, especially in operations like this. That's all there is to it. Fucking finally, fucking MG.
Stalker 1. Pivot. Percussion 1. Suppress the road.
Can do, Stalker.
Okay, Stalker 1. Percussion 1. Keep advancing. Stalker 1 to Hannibal. We have neutralized at least 2 sentry units, 1 AT unit, 2 enemy squads. Are passing Gulf 5. What is mission status? Over.
Stalker 1, AT front, 12 o'clock, 50 meters, engaging.
Stalker 1. Maintain fire. Percussion 1. Finish off anyone in sight.
Hannibal to Stalker 1. Blindfold has target as green. Percussion 2, Stalker 2. Status 1. Percussion 3, Stalker 3. Status 1. Slingshot still green and in position.
Stalker 1 to Hannibal. Understood. Out.
Percussion 1 to Stalker 1. MG is fucked again. Enemy transport in sight. Engaging.
Stalker 1-1 to Percussion 1. We are at Gulf 6, exit river.
Percussion 1, understood.
Stalker 1, up the road, now. Is the driver done?
Yeah, he's done.
Okay, Percussion 1, nicely done. Stalker 1, eyes out as we crest this hill. We will hit Gulf 7. Once we have cleared it, advance Percussion 1.
Clear?
Okay, clear. Percussion 1, push up.
We walked in silence, listening to the jungle, to the rain, to the storm.
ATGM.
I'm green, no hits, backing up into cover.
Stalker 1, forward. Get eyes on the launcher.
10 o'clock, other side of the hairpin.
Snipers at the top of the hill. Engage, Stalker 1.
Covering, advance.
Percussion 1 to Stalker 1, enemy infantry in sight, bottom of the hairpin, engaging with MG.
Enemy ATGM vehicle in sight. He's running.
He's in the ditch.
Moving forward to neutralize. Blackjack cover. Royal, Rider, forward with me.
I don't have visuals on him.
Contact. Engaging driver.
He's trying to evade. The gunner's dead.
Okay, hold on. Got him. Stalker 1 to Percussion 1. ATGM vehicle is neutralized. Advance to slope. Stalker 1 to Hannibal. ATGM vehicle is down. Another sniper team and another possible AT team down. Advancing to Gulf 9. What is mission status? Over.
Hannibal to Stalker 1. Blindfold, his target is yellow. Percussion 2, Stalker 2. Status 4. Percussion 3, Stalker 3. Status 1. Slingshot still green and in position.
Received, Hannibal. Out.
So down at 2/3.
Come on. We need to get into the woods before they send another ATGM out from up the road. Once there, we can resupply with spare ammo and ice packs in the mech.
Okay. Status 4. Amber 2 had been immobilized by terrain or enemy fire, and unable to complete the mission. Stalker 2 were trying to get him and themselves out. We were down to just me and Amber.
Stalker 1 to Hannibal. Resupply complete. 25 mics since Gulf 1. ETA to Gulf 15 and objective, possibly 15 mics. Advancing to Gulf 10. Percussion 1, status 1. Over.
Hannibal to Stalker 1. Acknowledged. Over.
You hear that?
Yeah. It's a helo. Percussion 1, power down and cover.
We'll go.
Okay, it's passed us by.
Keep your ears stiff. I might sweep back around. Percussion 1, continue advance.
Can do, Stalker.
Percussion 1, Gulf 11 is at the base of this hill. There's a clearing that runs straight up. Watch the small palms.
Okay, let me know if you guys need a breather. We're still on time, Stalker.
We can rest at the objective point. It's more important to keep moving.
I kinda wished I had some, handholds or seats. Something for those guys. Something I could carry them up the hill with while hugging onto me. Those kinds of guys live for this kind of challenge.
I hear artillery fire.
Yeah, it isn't far.
Do they have it zoned in? Did the heli pick us out?
No, they're shelling around the road, where we took out the ATGM team. Stalker 1 to Hannibal. We have rooks present. They are shelling near Gulf 8. Possible presence of counter-battery radar may impede mission. How to proceed? Over.
Did we stop?
No, we need to keep moving so they don't zero us in. We don't turn around until Hannibal says otherwise.
Hannibal to Stalker 1. Slingshot has been retasked to eliminate Rook CBR. Blindfold Dill has target as yellow. Percussion 2, Stalker 2, status 4. Presumed in egress. Percussion 3, Stalker 3. At M15, status 2, over.
The next few minutes went by in a sort of serenity. As we crested the hill, we saw the wilds of the jungle before us. It was beautiful.
Okay, Percussion 1. You heard him.
So Percussion 3 is still green, but immobilized.
We need to catch our breath. One moment.
Roger, Stalker 1, over.
Okay, proceed. Percussion 1. We're close. Percussion 1. We just passed Gulf 12 at the summit, and we're coming up to Gulf 13.
Hannibal to Stalker 1. Slingshot has Rook CBR located and is en route. Presume maximum hostility from Rook. Give 9 mics. I say 09 mics for objective window.
Percussion 1. It's just up ahead.
Receive, Stalker 1.
Stalker 1 to Hannibal. We are at Gulf 15. Percussion 1. Stalker 1. Status 1. Objective reached. Over.
Hannibal to Stalker 1. Hold for further notice. Over.
Stalker 1 to Hannibal. Acknowledged. Percussion 1. Hold position.
Hannibal to Stalker 1. Percussion 1. Slingshot is in position. Blindfold has target as yellow. Percussion 2. Stalker 2. Status 3. Stalker 1. 1. How copy? Percussion 1 will synchronize firing in 60 seconds. 60 seconds time. 9 mic window. Then egress. How copy?
Stalker 1 to Hannibal. Received. Will go. Stalker 1. Form perimeter.
Percussion 1 to Hannibal. Synchronize firing in 60 seconds from... time. 9 mic window, then egress received. Will go.
Percussion 1. Switch to artillery mode.
Received. Switching to artillery mode. Activating artillery computer.
Hannibal Percussion 1. Being patched through the blindfold for fire mission target location information.
Blindfold percussion. Nose fire. Transmitting coordinates. Target number 6 AAA and SAMs. 6 trucks. Targets in open. Danger close over.
Percussion 1 to blindfold. Message to observer. Adjust fire. Firing coordinates received. Targets 12. 6 SAM and AAA. 6 trucks. Targets in open. 2 guns, 3 rounds. M982 HE in effect. Danger close. Rounds out. Shot over.
Shot out.
Splash over.
Flash out. Blindfold to handle. Detector convoys hit. They're pinned in along the road into the river. Over. Blindfold percussion. Direction 47990. Add 60. Right 10. Fire for effect. Over.
2 guns, 10 rounds. M982 HE in effect. Fire for effect. Rounds out. Over. Shot. Over.
Shot out.
Splash. Over.
Flash out.
Percussion 1 to blindfold. Message to observer. Saturation. 2 guns, 10 rounds. M864. DPICM in effect. Danger close. Over. Rounds complete. Over.
Blindfold to handle. Targets 12 destroyed. 5 SAM, AAA destroyed. 1 disabled. 6 trucks with man-packed cargo destroyed.
Hannibal to Percussion 1, Stalker 1 egress. Blindfold is egressing. Slingshot is MIA. Percussion 2, Stalker 2 is egressing. Percussion 3, Stalker 3 is egressing with casualties. The window is open. Hawks are inbound. Mission complete.
We managed to pull it off. Do I feel bad? Do I feel guilty? In a way, no, not really. In these kinds of operations, there is a place in this world for psychopathic special forces. My machine was merely a strangely large mechanical carnivore amongst them. We fought brutally, but this place requires brutality. We lost 4 men. Slingshot was taken out after destroying the enemy counter-battery radar. Stalker 2 lost 2 to a minefield. The jungle is a place of constant conflict between life and death. To enter and survive here requires you to adopt something of that struggle. UN MOSAF's involvement in Myanmar, to some, seemed a strange use of force. Simple minds alleged conspiracies and Western colonial interest. But at the core, it was a form of repayment. This country had been under British rule from 1885 to 1948. With Britain's crippled empire and decolonization, it gained its independence. Then known as Burma, for the next 14 years it challenged itself to enact democracy, functioning distinct from the Commonwealth. Its first Prime Minister, U Nu, would work through difficult times to try to do just that. One member of his parliament, Secretary U Thant, would be the first non-Western Secretary General of the United Nations. In 1962, Thant would facilitate the negotiations between John F. Kennedy and Nikita Khrushchev, ending the Cuban Missile Crisis. In this way, Burma had seemed an integral example for the UN. Its country, precariously balanced between numerous ethnic, religious, and political issues, generated hardy statespeoples ripe for the kinds of challenges the UN would face. U Thant would also oversee the United Nations peacekeepers in the Congo
and order Operation Grand Slam to end the secessionist conflict there. Thant would oversee many of the newly decolonized African and Asian nations in their joining to the UN, as well as heavily criticize the US's involvement in Vietnam. However, during Thant's time as Secretary General, Burma would undergo a military coup. From 1962 until 2011, Burma would be ruled by successive military governments. The country of Burma officially renamed itself Myanmar in 1989. During the protests of the 80s, caused in large part by the military's mismanagement of the economy, Aung San Suu Kyi, daughter of the founding father Aung San, began her political career. Starting in 2011, however, after decades of military control, Myanmar would transition to a democracy. How functional this democracy was another matter. Still mired in many constant small internal civil wars, the treatment of these ethnic groups would be a constant issue. Aung San Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy party would win substantial votes in the 2015 election. This is the crux of Myanmar as a state, one balanced on a thin edge between military control and the will for democracy, and between national identity and the multitudes of sub-ethnicities vying for power within. Some criticize Myanmar's transition as merely democracy within the permission of the military. This constant fear of internal conflicts was just the start. In 2020, the pandemic and worsening climate put considerable pressure on the country as a whole, when the election showed even more considerable favor to Aung San Suu Kyi's NDL, and with the military-backed Union Solidarity and Development Party in a very small role, the coup occurred. Overnight, multiple politicians, such as Aung San, were seized. Over the next few months, numerous more would be detained or imprisoned. Martial law would be enacted. The small progress the 10 years of democratization had achieved was eroded away. Of specific suspicious note, the IMF had released $350 million to Myanmar to combat COVID-19, with little restrictions on how it would be spent, just days before the coup. This may have been a large motivator for the military's seizure of power. Of other suspicious note, China, which in 2019 had invested some $19 billion into Myanmar, helped build a social media firewall for the junta to control social media within the country after the coup. Within this context, as in Africa, UN MOSAF's motivation for involvement would be obvious. With public outcry from within Myanmar for peacekeepers to intervene, Operation Gong's Revenge was the natural endpoint. UN MOSAF would once more seize an opportunity to cement a moral victory. With the strikes carried out, numerous junta members were killed, and at large, the military's coup collapsed without its core leadership. With overwhelming popular civil support, the NDL re-established a delicate central government in the following weeks. Though the situation was fragile, UN MOSAF's small detachment could now at least stabilize Myanmar's return to democracy with its available resources. However, events unfolding back in Syria would return the bulk of the detached UN MOSAF, including Tyrannus and Amber March, back to its original, deeper purpose. In short, the trap had been triggered.